Life for monks in the Middle Ages was far from ideal. Constant hardships, peculiar customs, and absurd situations left a significant mark on their everyday existence. Yet these challenges helped monks grow stronger and adhere to the high ideals of service. Medieval monasteries often faced attacks primarily from Vikings. There was even a prayer, "Lord, protect us from the arrows of the Magyars and the swords of the Normans." Many monasteries were transformed into fortresses. However, threats came not only from external enemies. For example, Baron John Fitzalan once attacked a nunnery, plundered it, and abducted the nuns. However, a storm forced him to release the captives into the sea to lighten the ships. The plan failed. Baron Fitzalan drowned along with part of his army. Geese were often used instead of guard dogs because they would loudly honk at the slightest danger. These guards could raise the alarm faster than any bell. There's a myth that no one in the Middle Ages bathed. In reality, even peasants washed their faces and hands in the morning. Monks had varying attitudes toward hygiene. Monasteries often had lavatories, stone basins with running water for washing. However, strict ascetics avoided bathing, seeing it as mortification of the flesh. Their lice were called God's pearls, and the smell of sanctity was perceived as a sign of piety. Even high-ranking clergy suffered from parasites. Chroniclers mention that the robes of Archbishop Thomas Becket were so infested with lice that they fell off in handfuls. Medieval monks consumed about 4,700 calories a day to stay warm in their cold stone cells and fend off hunger. However, their diet was unbalanced. It consisted mainly of bread, ale, and eels, valued for their suitability during fasting. Over time, meat, vegetables, and grains were added, but infrequent and heavy meals, once or twice a day, often caused digestive issues. To address this, the monks of Muschelnee Abbey built a 40-person latrine and kept recipes for laxatives, including exotic remedies like using a piece of soap rectally. Laughter was frowned upon in monasteries. If a monk was caught in excessive mirth, he was punished with additional fasting or prayers to remind him of humility. In particularly strict orders, laughter was seen as a sign of insufficient piety, and the offender was required to make a public confession before the brotherhood. Monk alchemists experimented with recipes, creating many types of cheeses and liqueurs whose formulas have survived to this day. Culinary inventions helped diversify their diet. Monks skilled in writing copied books, and every mistake was considered a sin. Superiors frightened them with tales of the demon Titivelius, who collected all scribes' errors to present them on Judgment Day. But mistakes weren't always the monks' fault. Some manuscripts bore traces of cat paws or ink stains from birds. One can only imagine the frustration of a monk whose work was ruined by such mishaps. During manuscript transcription, monks were forbidden from sneezing over the parchment. To prevent accidents, scribes were given special cloths, and in case of errors, they sometimes recited penitential prayers. According to the Benedictine rule, even a sinful thought was considered a transgression. Monks were required to prostrate themselves at the slightest hint of the abbot's displeasure, wash the feet of guests, and kiss them as a sign of brotherly love. On Maundy Thursday, they washed and kissed the feet of the poor, demonstrating Christian compassion. Battling demons was a common task for monks, using crosses, holy water, and prayers. Sometimes the possessed resisted and physical force was employed. For instance, Saint Norbert of Xanten whipped a possessed man until he revealed which saint could expel the demon. In some cases, demons set their own terms. One demanded the tooth of Christ to leave the body. Occasionally, possession turned out to be a ruse, but holy water and beatings quickly exposed pretenders. Monks could be cunning as well as pious. For example, Bishop Hugh of Lincoln once bit off a piece of Mary Magdalene's relics, saying, "Do we not consume the body of Christ with our teeth?" This act earned him sainthood. Books, being extremely valuable, also became subjects of intrigue. One monk refused to return a manuscript demanding a hair from a saint's beard in exchange. In historical films and series, medieval Catholic monks are often depicted with strange haircuts, a bald crown surrounded by a ring of hair known as a tonsure. This tradition dates back to the 2nd or 5th century CE. Some historians believe the tonsure symbolized Christ's crown of thorns. Another theory suggests it mirrored Roman practices of shaving slaves' heads, as monks called themselves slaves of Christ. The tonsure remained for about 1,500 years until Pope Paul II abolished it in 1972 as an outdated practice. Monks rose at night for prayers and monasteries organized nightly rounds to maintain order. The circator, responsible for silence, ensured no one fell asleep during prayers or engaged in unholy activities. One unofficial task was waking monks who had dozed off in the latrine. The German beer Bockbier, first brewed in a Munich monastery in the 17th century, earned the nickname liquid bread for its high caloric value and nourishment. This beer made observing the strict Lenten fast easier, often serving as the monk's sole sustenance. In some monasteries, dogs were trained to carry messages between monks or bring small items. This was particularly useful in large abbeys. If monks fell asleep during nighttime prayers, the circator would wake them, sometimes even dousing them with water. This unusual alarm system helped maintain discipline within the monastery. We hope you enjoyed this edition. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to ensure you don't miss more fascinating stories.